The reason that coal has been on a massive decline in recent years has less to do with President Obama than with the inability of the coal industry to innovate and its inability to compete. There are more than 500 coal-fired power generation units operating in this country, 500. How many of those are more than 50 years old? More than 200 of them are more than 50 years old. How many are at least 60 years old of that 500? 74. We actually have 10 coal units that are at least 70 years old. Here's a picture of the Perry K power plant in Indianapolis, built in 1925. It's an 87-year-old coal-fired power plant. Thomas Edison was alive when this plant was built. The television had just been invented. Air travel was in its infancy. The first transatlantic flight was still 2 years away when this plant was built and still operating today. We've improved on all the other technologies. We've figured out how to do the same thing but for less money, all with greater speed and with reliability. It's the American way. New replaces old, efficient replaces wasteful, clean replaces dirty, high-tech replaces low-tech, and our country benefits when this happens. The 87-year-old Perry K power plant is switching to natural gas beginning in 2014. This is a growing trend in the power sector. Natural gas is cheaper, it burns cleaner, you're less likely to get asthma or have a baby with birth defects, and if you live near a plant that burns it, you're feeling better about the health of your own children because you know that there are more dangerous elements coming out of coal than out of natural gas. And you can get natural gas without blowing the tops off of mountains and destroying the environment. So right now, 36% of America's electricity is currently generated by coal. 36% today, first 3 months of 2012. 6 years ago, coal was producing half of America's electricity. So it's gone in 6 years from 50% down to 36% of electricity. At the same time, electricity from natural gas has grown from 18% of U.S. generation to 27%. Wind has gone from producing virtually none of our power to 3% of our power in the last 6 years. Newer, cheaper, cleaner technologies are beating coal. The free market is beating coal. Adam Smith is spinning in his grave as we're listening to the Republicans talk about the need to prop up the coal industry against competing technologies, like natural gas, like wind. Matter of fact, he's spinning so fast in his grave that he would actually qualify as a new energy source. That's how much energy he's giving off right now in his grave, listening to the Republicans bleating about the rise of natural gas and wind as competition to coal, especially with these plants that are 50, 60, 70, 87 years old. Now, here's the interesting thing. In the Waxman-Markey bill that the House of Representatives passed in 2009, we built in $60 billion for the coal industry, $60 billion between now and 2030, for them to be able to install carbon capture and sequestration technology. Now, the electric utility industry, they supported it. But the coal industry said no. They said, no, we don't want the money. And by the way, it was $200 billion up to the year 2050. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of investment in new technology that the Democrats built into their legislation so that they could innovate, so that they can improve, so that they can become more competitive with the natural gas industry. The coal industry said, no, no, we're not going to move. And that's with $60 billion of funding coming from the federal government, $200 billion by the year 2050, so that they could innovate. They said no, they said no, They said no over and over again to innovation. There are now 200 coal plants over the age of 50 that need to be renovated at the cost of billions of dollars. Natural gas is cheaper. Wind is on the move. Who wants to pay now in the private sector to rehabilitate dinosaur coal units with cleaner, cheaper options available? Now the free market says if the coal industry did not want that funding, then we look at the costs and we just say, we're moving to natural gas, we're moving to wind. You innovate or you die. Just ask the auto industry. That's what's happening to the coal industry. They refuse to innovate. They refuse to even accept the funding that would have made it possible for them to innovate. I just hope that the record is clear out there and that this gets reported as the real story, that the coal industry refused to move to help their own people to be able to compete in this modern marketplace. I yield back the balance of my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.